How you doing, guys? Happy New Year to you. Hopefully you all have a lovely 2019. Just want to do a quick video on my predictions for the property market in 2019. Obviously 2018, we saw tale of two halves really. The first 6 months, the market was crazy. Prices were increasing by probably up to 10% in a lot of areas around Dublin and the lower priced areas, and around the country. The second half of the year, the market slowed down because obviously prices increased and central bank rules kicked in. So what do we see for 2019? I suppose there's been a lot of other agents coming out and saying prices are going to increase by 5%. I always have a problem with that because you can't really compare just say Dublin is going to go up by 5%, because you can't compare South Dublin with West Dublin and North Dublin. They're all different areas. Like, even if you want to just say West Dublin and compare Castleknock and Clonee, like Castleknock again is upper end prices, 500 plus in a lot of areas, where Clonee again would be, your average buyer's property around 200, 300,000, or in some cases 1 or 2 beds would be lower than that. So again, you can't really say everything is going to go up by 5%. So I suppose our predictions are, obviously just maybe going back a step there, the central bank rules have obviously kicked in, are obviously having an impact. So last year we felt that they're starting to work, and I think which is a good thing, and it's great to see them starting to work, and that's what's obviously slowing down the market. It's not good on some people are giving out, but if the central bank rules weren't there, you would definitely see prices another 20-30% higher than what they are now. So I do think the central bank rules are working, and they have definitely calmed the market down. There's more supply on the market now as well. We see a lot more houses coming up. People are out with negative equity. Probate sales are going through quicker. There's just a lot more supply going on. People aren't more cautious. I suppose banks are lending more as well in relation to people maybe they weren't giving mortgages to 2 years ago, are now all of a sudden giving that mortgage out to these people there as well. Obviously with rents so high as well, at an all-time record high, people aren't sitting on the fence and sitting in the rental market, because they could be renting, for example, a 3-bedroom house out in Clondalkin and paying $1,700 a month, or they could buy that same property for 270,000 and paying a mortgage of around 11 or 1,200 quid. So all of a sudden they're saving the guts of $6,000 a year in payments, So again, that's where obviously the supply is coming from, and obviously the buyers are coming from there as well. So I suppose just to kick off with my prediction, again, what I would think is I'm going to break it down into price areas, guys, because you can't just say prices are going to go up by a certain percent. I think house prices from up to 275,000 are going to go up by 10% this year. The reasoning behind that is mainly that's 80% of the market that are buying houses in the whole country, never mind just Dublin, can only afford houses up to 250, 270, even up to 300,000, and that's where you're going to get your higher volume of people coming and bidding on properties. Obviously investors now aren't buying the higher value properties, they're buying the cheaper value properties because they're getting a better yield on them, and they're thinking more long term. They're not looking at buying a property for 400,000 or 500,000 only getting a 4 or 5% yield. They prefer to buy a property at 250 or 200 and get a 8 or 9% yield. Obviously first time buyers can only afford a certain amount of money because they're on lower incomes, and then obviously lower income families can only afford up to maybe 300,000 thereabouts. So obviously that's where the volume of people are. That's where obviously anyone who's looking at properties at that level, you're going to see more traffic through those doors for viewings, because that's where most of the people are. So definitely, if you have a house priced at 250, I expect to see that grow by 10% this year all day long. Okay, 275 up to 400. Again, it's a couple of steps up the ladder, but we see maybe around 5% growth this year. Again, that market has slowed down big time, because if you want to even say a €350,000 house, people have to qualify for a 350,000 mortgage. They need to be on 100 grand a year, because you're only getting 3.5 times your salary. And if you're a second time buyer, then you need a 20% deposit, which is €70,000. So again, that market is slowing down, but there is still demand there, because again, the people on the lower end are getting a little bit more for their house, and then they're trading up to buy that house between, like we said, the 300 up to the 275 up to the 400. 400 to 550, there's going to be a 2 or 3% increase, in my opinion. Again, it's a small increase. It's only going to be basically the newer properties, the properties in better condition will obviously get better prices, but a lot of that housing stock at that level is older housing stock. People that bought in their 60s, 70s, 80s, they're now obviously getting older, and probate sales are obviously coming up in those areas, or they're going into nursing homes or whatever it is, and these properties need a lot of investment, and obviously those prices, and obviously going on to the next one is the 550,000 plus. That market isn't